The last time that we had a look at my full notebook collection, I had something like 100 notebooks, and since then my collecting certainly hasn't slowed down. Like literally today I got another 4 notebooks in the post, so I figured it's time to do an updated look. In this video we're going to be looking through all of the notebooks that I have in my collection, the ones that are fully used, partially used, the ones that are more shelf trophies than anything else, and the ones that I will get around to using at some point. For pretty much all of the notebooks in my collection, we also have discount codes if you wanted to grab them for yourself, so check the description box below for those. But this is going to take a while, so let's get into it. The first category of notebooks are the ones that I have used to completion though, and they were primarily used as bullet journals. This is not all of them, so going through them one by one. The first one is an LT 1917 in the colour Anthracite. This one was my very first bullet journal, and it lasted from November 2016 to May 2017. This is the notebook that kind of really started it all, although I do have notebooks that predate this one, and they're definitely not as nice, I suppose, as an LT 1917. This is very much the notebook that started my notebook collecting, so it's special in that respect. My second bullet journal was also an LT 1917. This one lasted me from June 2017 to December 2017. I very much like that I used to label the sides of the notebooks. Makes it much easier to see what date range they were used over. And at the point of using this journal, I was convinced that I was going to be in an LT 1917 forever. I was an LT 1917 fangirl. So we had the purple one, and then after this I went with a dark blue one because I was gonna kind of work backwards in rainbow order. This one lasted from January 2018 to June 2018. You can possibly see that looking from the top, the chonk distribution here is a little off. This end is much thicker than the spine, and that's because I went through and I taped every single one of the pages with washi tape. I like the rainbow color of it. It kind of very easily shows me where each month is, but I have not done it since because having such a kind of uneven chonk throughout this notebook was a little bit bothersome. After using LT 1917 for 3 of my bullet journals, I came to the conclusion that the paper was just too thin for me. I wanted to move on to something a little bit thicker. So for my next 2 journals, I went with Scribbles That Matter. These ones had 120, I think, GSM, rather than the 80 GSM I was using previously. And both of these were in the iconic style, so with all the little icons over the front, very cute. Both of these were used as bullet journals though, both of them completely finished. And then after I used these 2, one for the first 6 months of whenever I was using it and one for the second 6 months, the next journal I got was a Dingbats. This one was actually sent to me for free. I can't remember if it was sent to me directly from Dingbats or if it was somebody else, but I love the little turtle and the coral and the little seahorse. It's just a very cute design. I believe this one had a similar paper weight to the Scribbles That Matter, but it was ivory toned paper, so you can see it's kind of like that creamy color, not bright white, which is what I typically use now. On the inside cover here, it had some decoration. I got a lot of enjoyment out of this notebook, but I was still finding that the paper was a little too thin for my liking. So for my next notebook, I switched to Archer and Olive. This was my first Archer and Olive notebook. Vogel bought it for me, my partner. I really love the little moon. I was a real sucker for silver. So little moon with the little stars. We have the gilding along the edges, which obviously isn't as perfect as it used to be because I've now used the notebook, but this was very exciting. My first 160 GSM notebook, and very much started something in terms of my collecting. It awakened something in me. Since then though, 160 GSM and Archer and Olive in particular have become a favorite for me. So after this crescent notebook, we then had this black slither one, which had Neapolitan pages. So a mix of blackout paper, craft paper, and regular white paper. After 2 black notebooks in a row though, I thought I should probably get a little bit more color into my lineup. So I went with this bee design on a vintage blue. Very cute. I love this notebook. This one also had gold gilded edges, which you can see again aren't perfect because of things that I've stuck into the notebook. It kind of adds some bulk and they separate a little bit, but this one felt very special as well. This one was also for the start of a new year. So we have kind of like really punchy colors in terms of the setup. I will say that for all of these notebooks that we've been looking through so far, they all have full flip throughs on the channel. There's a playlist linked in the description box. But this one was for the first half of 2021, and then we're back to another black notebook. It's odd because black notebooks are definitely my preference, but I don't use them as much as you think I would, given that they're my preference. It's a little bit worse for wear. I obviously didn't treat it very well, but this one also had a black cover with these starry sparkles. Oh, so cute. Up until this point, I'd been pretty steadily using 2 notebooks a year, and both in A5, but for 2022, I decided to change things up. Not only did I decide I was going to use more notebooks, I was also going to use different sizes, but I still started with A5. For the A5, I went with this teal one from Archer and Olive. I love the color of this notebook, and the design is interesting, not necessarily my favorite, but still cute. And then after this, I jumped into a B5 notebook. This size was very intimidating for me. I thought I would like it more for the amount of decorative space I had, but I found that I actually preferred to use this one just for very simple list making. But once that one was done, I decided to jump into a smaller notebook size, a B6, and going from a B5 to a B6, like look at the size difference of these two. It was quite an adjustment. I found that decorative wise, I actually preferred the B6. It felt just more approachable. And I thought that this firefly design was super cute. Some of my favorite themes that I've ever done in my notebooks are in this journal, but because it was smaller, I did only fit 3 months in here. In 2023, I continued the trend of trying different notebook sizes, but starting with an A5. This one was part of the Archer and Olive winter release, and I love the kind of like glittery silver and the snowflake. This one again has gilding on the edges in silver, and we just don't really get a lot of notebooks that use silver. Primarily they do use gold, and I think that's why I kind of held off on using this one for as long as I did, but I'm glad I got in and used it. After that, I moved into a traveler's notebook, and in particular I went for an orange color because I needed to break the streak of blue. Not only were my last 3 everyday bullet journals blue, but I also had other blue notebooks in my collection that we'll look at in a second. After the travelers though, we were moving into a new size, and for that one I went with the square. This one's also from Archer and Olive, and this design might look familiar. We have the crescent design back, but this time in gold rather than in silver. Although after this journal I was moving into the start of a new year, and I do typically like to start in an A5 for the year, I actually liked the square so much that I decided to stick with it. This is probably my favorite square notebook that I have in my collection. I love the design on this one. I think it is so gorgeous. The faux leather is really nice. The size of the notebook is also one that I really like. We also have gilding on the edges, which is hard to see because again, this is a used notebook. But in terms of notebooks that I have in my collection, this is probably in my top 5. While these ones are all of my everyday bullet journals that are completed, and seeing them all lined up here, I feel like we should have some kind of like a mega flip through video that features all of them. But I also have some journals in my collection that I've completely filled up, but I didn't use them as everyday bullet journals. These ones are what I call R&D notebooks, or research and development, and the way that I use them is for making spreads, layout ideas, anything like that for videos on the channel. These aren't layouts that I'm actually going to use myself, they're just to showcase different ideas that you could put in your notebook. The first one we have is an LT 1917 in purple. We have the blue Big Dipper design from Archer and Olive, the twin arrows design on this kind of mint green color, a kind of light olive green with a little botanical element, also from Archer and Olive, a notebook that was gifted to me from being on the Archer and Olive ambassador team, so this one has my name on it, and then another Archer and Olive notebook with a floral design on this kind of peachy tone cover. While those were all of the notebooks that I have completely used up, like there are no pages left of them to actually do anything with, we also have the notebooks that I am currently using or are in kind of a state of partially completed, and those are the ones we're looking at next. Splitting this section into kind of 2 halves, so we have the notebooks that I'm currently using with the intention of continuing using, of which we have 16 here that you can barely see, but then we also have notebooks which are partially used that I don't have an immediate intention to get back to, and we'll look at those second. Starting with these ones though, we have my current everyday bullet journal, which is in this gorgeous Archer and Olive notebook. I love the holographic foiling on the front, and we've got it on the edges as well. It is absolutely beautiful. We have my yearly collections journal, which is also from Archer and Olive, with this galaxy drip. You might be able to see the kind of drip outline that goes down here. The stars and sparkles are very pretty. This one though holds any of those collections that I want to span a full year, so I don't want to put them in my everyday journal because then I'll have to transfer them at the halfway point of the year when I move into a new notebook. I also like to have a long-term collections journal. This is for things that I want to keep for longer than just a year, things like swatches, reference pages, any kind of master lists, things like that. And then we have my 5-year journal, which is another one from Archer and Olive. I'm gonna stop saying that because honestly, pretty much every journal we're about to look at is from Archer and Olive. This one though is for a line a day for each day across 5 years. I've got another blue notebook, which is a goals journal where I record what my goals are, plan them out, and record my milestones and progress. And then a reading journal, which is getting very chunky. You can definitely see where I've used up to in this one, and I think it'll probably last me the rest of the year, but I might start a new one next year. I have two B6s that I consider to be part of my planner stack or planner lineup. This one here is on the little B, very cute. It is a health journal where I record health notes, things like doctor's appointments, ailments, any medications that I'm taking, any of my health goals in particular, and tracking and taking notes about those. And then this one is a travel journal where I record memories from Go Wild in particular. I've only been to Go Wild twice, but still, this journal is definitely getting good use. I think I might be able to fit one more Go Wild trip in this one, so I'm going to keep it for that. And once that trip's over, this one will kind of get retired as just like a memories journal. I have two notebooks that I consider to be brainstorming notebooks, so it's really just for messy notes and taking down little scribbles and such. One of them is in this Ginormator letter size Archer and Olive notebook, and the other one is in this grid paper, just, I don't know, campus soft ring Kokuyo notebook. I find myself using this one more nowadays just because it's a little bit easier to sit on my desk. You can see this one barely fits in the frame of the video, but I do love this one. It has a special place in my heart, even though this one is the one that's more like a kind of everyday use. Then I have a range of notebooks which are my current R&D notebooks, the ones that I'm currently using for making layouts for videos and things like that. I wanted to have these in a range of different sizes so that I have options for the videos. So we have two pocket or A6 size notebooks from Archer and Olive, two A5 notebooks. One of them is from Kmart and the other one is from a brand called Your Bujo. I have a traveler's size from Archer and Olive, a square size from Archer and Olive, and a B5 size from Archer and Olive. I also just found this one lurking in my bag, which is my most recent R&D notebook, but I'll give you 3 guesses as to where it came from. Considering all of the notebooks in my collection, the majority of them are from Archer and Olive, and if you wanted to grab yourself something from A&O, then be sure to use code JashiiCorrin10 at checkout. Get yourself 10% off your order. We love savings. But on to the next section. These are the notebooks that I have started. I've used some of the pages in them, but I don't have an immediate intention to continue using them. They're not completely full, some of them only have a couple of pages used, but as it stands, I'm not planning on continuing using these right now. 4 of these are from LT1917, so starting with those. This one was started as a long-term collections journal, one of those ones that I could use for a reference book over multiple years. But when it came to doing my swatch pages, I wanted my swatches to be in a notebook that was the same as the notebook I primarily use. And that's why I now have an Archer and Olive long-term collections journal. This one I was using as an everyday bullet journal for about half a month, and that's when I was in a bit of a bullet journal slump back in 2019. So I started in this notebook to kind of give myself that fresh slate feeling. It did work well for me during that period, but I didn't need it long-term, and I don't currently have another use for it. This one I started as a Japanese learning journal, and I mean, I can show you how much of it I've actually used. The index kind of gives away how much space in this journal I've actually used. So flipping forward, we have the key, my hiragana and katakana reference, and then greetings, numbers and time, and then we're on to nothing else. I was trying to keep the setup of this one fairly simple, just doing little banners for each of the headers, but did not end up using it very much. And then this one in a pink LT1917 was a travel journal. I did use a decent chunk of it, maybe, I don't know, a third of the notebook-ish, but I came to the conclusion that in terms of travel journaling and memory keeping, I don't really like to do my memory keeping in this format. I'd rather make videos, take photos, that kind of a thing. I don't really like to journal about my travels. This Scribbles That Matter is also another one that I don't have an immediate use for, and that's because it was set up as my second long-term collections journal when I thought I was going to be sticking with Scribbles That Matter for the long term, but then I moved into Archer and Olive and I wanted all those swatches to be in there, so haven't found another use for this one. This purple notebook from Archer and Olive I was using as a social media kind of content planner, or, you know, a place to record statistics about my social media, but I just found myself not filling it in, so it's probably going to end up being an R&D notebook, but for now it's on the shelf. It's been lightly retired. And then we have this notebook from Baron Fig. I've set this one up as a PD or professional development journal, so a place for me to be able to take notes about things that I'm learning, whether they actually be for kind of personal development or professional development. But I've come to the conclusion that it's probably better if I take those notes digitally. It'll be a little bit easier to reference them and use them, so retiring this notebook for now, don't have an immediate use for it. Now we're on to the notebooks that I have not yet started, and we're going to start with my favorite size, which is A5. I find it to be a really good balance between enough space on the page and still transportable, but the majority of my notebooks are these because it is my favorite size. I don't know if you've been keeping count, but I'm pretty sure that's 47 used notebooks, whether they be partially or fully used. For these ones, we're going to go in rainbow order, or at least by color, with our first selection being red. We have a burgundy with the little flower. This one from Kuma Stationery and Craft, which has a little range of flowers. This kind of brighter red, which has a little sprig of leaves. One from the winter release, which is I think called a Tannenbaum. I don't know what a Tannenbaum actually is though. This notebook cover is glittery though, along with the foil stamping. And a nice punchy bright red with a little lighthouse on it. For more orange tones, we have this little, I don't know, hanging charm? This one's from Kuma Stationery and Craft as well. A nice bright orange one with a little collection of summer emblems. So a beach ball, little pair of sunglasses, and a watermelon slice. And then a more dark burnt orange one, which we had in the Travelers before. This one has the phonograph on the front of it. And this one looks quite orange on camera, I feel, but I promise you it's more of a golden yellow tone. This one is a vintage camera design. We then have a sun on a gold notebook. A little Vespa on a very bright or kind of aggressively bright yellow notebook. This one in particular has sprayed edges and there's like kind of pale pink color, which is kind of cute too. But the pages on the inside are white dot grid. Pretty much all of my notebooks are white dot grid. Continuing with yellow, we have the Archer and Olive ampersand. So unsurprisingly, this is from Archer and Olive. And then we have the new notebook that just arrived today from Bullet Journal Company specifically, and this one is an LT 1917, but released by the Bullet Journal. And then we have green heading into teal, which I have quite a few of. We have a green linen with a little pot plant, one of the Archer and Olive originals, which is this little sprig of botanicals, a very popular design on this dark teal, which has the stack of books, the candle, and the little vase of flowers. Another ampersand design, which is on a bright teal. The mermaid design, which we also saw on the A6 before. We have a vintage mermaid design, but the mermaid itself might be a little bit hard to see because it's stamped with pearlescent foiling rather than gold or silver. Hopefully you can see it a little bit clearer here, and if I tilt it into the light, maybe you can see the pearlescent shine. It's a little bit tricky to capture on camera, but it's pretty cute. A little collection of leaves, another Dingbats notebook, and it's interesting that because this one is stamped to be in the middle of the notebook cover, it just feels really low down compared to the other ones we've seen. We have the Bullet Journal official notebook, but in green. They release a new color every year, so this is the second one of their notebooks that I have. And then heading more into the very teal range, we also have this notebook from Odyssey Notebooks. This one has a soft flexible cover and dot grid pages with page numbers. And then this really pretty teal one from Kuma Stationery and Crafts, which has the whale and the little red panda with the waves. I also have some green full cover design notebooks. Yes, I know this one looks black, but I promise it is green, or at least green on the front. This is a green metallic kind of foiling, and this one is from Odyssey Notebooks. I also really love the edges of these ones, which are silver gilded with some little stars and sparkles. But the next full cover design we have is a composition style notebook, but a soft pastel one, so it's a kind of soft mint green. This one has the composition notebook little emblem on the front, and then this kind of, I don't know, composition notebook pattern across the front and back covers, and then a kind of little scalloped edge so that you have a full color spine, along with some little foiling, which is quite cute too. We have the notebook that came as part of the self-care box from Archer and Olive, so this one has, I think, some eucalyptus branches and some little spriggy bits. And then it also has some decoration on the spine as well. And then the absolutely gorgeous storybook notebook from Archer and Olive. This one has the gold foiling and the debossing, and that's all over the front cover. We also have some on the spine here too, which is very pretty. and then also on the back, but no gold foiling on the back because it would just rub off on your desk. This one kind of gives me Celtic knot vibes. It's pretty cool. Now we're on to blue A5 notebooks, which I have like 17 of that haven't been used. I have the Ink and Quill on a soft faux leather. That one's really cute. And then the Narwhal on this very bright faux leather. This one's actually a really cute design too. This one's kind of a light denim color with gold stamping, and we've got a little red panda sitting on a moon in a potion bottle. I have a boxed notebook, which is the snowflake design that we saw before. I liked it so much that I just felt like I had to have two of them. We have a subdued light blue with a little daisy, and then a kind of medium blue with a hand that's sprinkling the night sky. So we've got a little moon and then some stars and sparkles. This one is the same color as the last, just with a little starburst. And then this one is a touch darker, but it's a little cat that's staring at the moon. This notebook I haven't opened, but I know it's blue because I have the design in a different notebook, and that's the cheeky little fox on a blue linen, but in A5 rather than B5. This journal though is from Notebook Therapy, and this one gives me very Beauty and the Beast vibes because we've got the rose in this little frame. It doesn't have a pen loop, but it does have 160 GSM, white paper, and it has a small amount of spine design, which is quite cute too. This one is a slightly darker subdued blue, which has the little raven sitting on a branch. This one is a darker but still kind of punchy blue with a little hourglass. This one is also from Kuma Stationery and Craft, so we have the cute little things like the moon, and then if we flip on the side we have the little moon and the stars here too, which I think is pretty cute. This dark blue notebook has the sun and the moon. I don't know, they kind of look like they're making out, but you know, we'll leave them to it. This one's also from Archer and Olive and has 192 pages. And I also have this blue Archer and Olive. It only has 160 pages, but the front cover is just blue, so no stamping of anything else on it. Pretty much any time I haven't specified where the journal is from, you can be assured that it's from Archer and Olive, but this one is also Archer and Olive. You know, it's got it right here. But as you can see, it's a craft paper dock red notebook rather than white paper. This one's on the Big Dipper design, which we saw before. But as you can see from the side, the notebook paper is brown, it's not white. I'm saving this for something special. I just don't know what it is yet. I also have a blue notebook from the Bullet Journal Company, which is done with LT1917. A journal from the Washi Tape Shop, which is the first time we've seen it in this lineup. Although it does have colour along the bottom, I just included it in the blue section because it's majoritively blue. But you can see on these sides here, we have the sprayed edges, so it's that kind of pinky tone, but the paper itself in the notebook is more of a kind of ivory dock red. And then bringing in a new notebook brand, this one is from Typhosi. The range at Typhosi is a little bit eclectic, quite interesting. So this is one of their covers that has a patterned design on the front. We'll see a couple more of their notebooks when we get into other colors though. Another one that I'm considering for the blue section, because despite how much gold it has on the cover, I think that, you know, the base color is technically blue, even if very dark blue. This one is from the Quirky Cup Collective, and the actual design work on this cover is absolutely spectacular, honestly. On the back, that gold work kind of continues. It says the magic starts here, which I think is an interesting choice for a back cover, but still very pretty. We also have the spine decoration, and of course, gilded edges. Then we have purple, which ranges from the more kind of blue tone to the more red tone, the very thick to the very thin. The first of these is a Kuma Stationery and Craft on a faux leather. We then have a sketchbook from Archer and Olive, which I have technically started in, so I probably should have included this earlier, but this one has the mountains and the little stars. It's very cute. As said though, this is a sketchbook, so it doesn't have dock grid paper, and it is a craft sketchbook, so craft paper in here as well. We have a darker lavender color with some botanicals on the front, and then a pale lavender, again Kuma Stationery and Crafts with the little red panda, and the little emblem on the spine. The return of the ampersand, this time on lavender. And then a super soft purple. This one almost looks kind of white, but it has a little cloud with some little raindrops, but also some little hearts. It might be a little bit hard to tell that they're hearts, but they are very cute. This one is a Scribbles That Matter, but the pro cover, so it doesn't have the little icons all over it. It does still say Scribbles That Matter along the side though. This notebook I got from Go Wild, so it says Wild for goals on it. It's from Muxy Life, and this one's quite a thin notebook. It's just got some dock red paper in it. I'm not sure what I'm going to use it for yet, but it is A5 and it is purple. This notebook is more of a red purple, but it's also metallic, which might be hard to see in this kind of lighting. But it's got a little witch's hat on the front in silver, and also some silver gilding on the edges. I love gilded edges. This is a really pretty notebook. This one is a Sagittarius notebook, which you can see from the little bow and arrow here on this gorgeous purple cover. This one is from Typhosi, and this one also has gilding, but look, it's got little moons and stars in it, and it's so gorgeous. It seems I get a lot of Typhosi notebooks that are purple, because this one is also from Typhosi. As kind of mentioned, they have quite an eclectic collection, so a lot of different options. This one is their Moon Butterfly notebook. I've only used it to do pen testing in, and I will say that it is not left-hander friendly, but if you like page numbers, then this could be a good option. Although this one does look red on camera, I promise there is a decent amount of purple in the tone as well. It's kind of a purple burgundy color, but this one is also from Typhosi. So we have the emblem on the front, and then a little bit of spine design as well. And then this one is a Lucky Rabbit design from Archer and Olive, one of their older ones. I mean, a lot of my notebooks are older in their collection. It has taken me quite a while to collect as many as I have. Now we're on to pink, which I have 9 of that haven't been used. Starting with our soft baby pinks, we have this little sprig of flowers, which we saw on my travel journal for Go Wild. We have the Libra design from Typhosi, which has the little set of scales, and then also has the gilding along the edge with the stars, sparkles, celestial elements. So pretty. An ever so slightly more punchy pink. This one is from Simply Gilded, so it has the little Simply Gilded bow. And then this one, instead of having white paper, it has pale pink paper. So I'm also saving this one for something special. Getting a step darker again, this one has some little butterfly designs on this kind of like glitter shimmer cover. And then we have the return of the ampersand. I've got the ampersand in pretty much any color. They've come out with the ampersand. So what? Teal, lavender, yellow, pink, white. I've got like 3 of the ones in white. We'll get to those. This one is a faux leather with the little sleeping red panda on the moon and amongst the clouds. What a cutie. I love his little tail. This one is effectively a pink lemonade theme, so we've got the little drink or cocktail on this pink faux leather cover. And then a much more punchy, but probably not as bright as it actually appears on camera. This one has a little kind of floral ice cream cone. Like, it's got the waffle cone, but then it's got flowers and botanicals in it. It's still pretty cute though. And then this notebook here was a collaboration between Archer and Olive and Pink Bits. So we have the apple design with a little kind of like brain cross section in the middle. While coloured A5s tend to feature in my notebook rainbow, I do also have some that don't, mainly brown notebooks, which I find hard to fit in there nicely. The first of these is from the washi tape shop, and although it looks like it's in a cover or folio of some description, this is actually the notebook cover itself. So front cover, flip in, we're right into the notebook. I quite like this cover. I think it just looks a little bit fancy, looks a little special, and plus with the 2 little pop push pin things, it means that you can either have it fully closed, like when it's new and quite thin, or when it starts to bulk up, you have a place to move this over to so that you have a bit more space. We also have the coffee cup design from Archer and Olive on the faux leather. This one, I don't know why, but I'm saving it for something special. I just really like this design. And then we have this sand color one from Kuma Stationery and Crafts. I particularly like this one for the emblem on the front, which is a little kind of bonsai tree. But in terms of the notebook color itself, it's probably not my favorite. Still like that design though. I think that's really cute. Another brown A5 that isn't part of the journal rainbow, but I do feature on the shelf at least because it has a full cover design. This one is the compass design from the spring release from Archer and Olive. I love it. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. They did such a good job with the detail on this one, because not only do we have the full front cover, we also have the spine with a kind of rope pattern, and then along the back we also have that rope continuing around the outside. Another reason why I won't include a notebook in the journal rainbow is because it is multicolored, and that's what these ones are. This one is from the Steffi Lynn collab, so do it for yourself, and if we flip it over, it says have a nice day. Very bright, very fun, very positive. This one was part of their winter release from 2023, the Nostalgia collection, so composition notebook. It kind of looks like a school notebook that you'd stick stickers all over. I think it's a lot of fun. And then this one, which I believe was a collaboration with Amy Tangerine, but I love just the patterning on here is gorgeous, and the gentle rainbow tone we have to it. I have no idea what I'm going to use this notebook for, but It's very pretty too. And this one also has a full cover design, but as you can see, it's technically a daily agenda. So although it is kind of a notebook, it's more of an undated planner. So I think it technically doesn't count, but we're showing it off all the same. Mainly so I could show off this one because this is the same as that storybook design, but it's on a kind of vintage grey instead of a green. And it has an aged silver in terms of its foiling rather than gold. So beautiful. Love the front cover. Love the spine, love the back cover, but again, this one is an undated planner rather than just a blank or dot grid notebook, so technically doesn't count. Still gorgeous. That also leads us into other notebooks that I don't include in the journal rainbow because they're black or white, like primarily just black or white. They don't have a kind of main color to them. So this one is the Marked notebook, the collaboration between Mark of Mark Your Pages and Archer and Olive. So a full cover design in the foiling that you can hopefully see. It's quite subtle, but it's really pretty. This one wraps the entire way around, so we have it on the spine edge as well, and then also on the back cover. The special part about this notebook is that it has a bunch of features that I know that Mark really appreciates in his notebooks. So things like page numbers, little markings to show where the third and halfway marks are on each page. I'm gonna have to use this one for something special as well. Another full cover black notebook. This is a newer addition to my lineup too. So this one was part of their Halloween release, I believe from 2023, but you can hopefully see the little embossed moth here, or I guess the debossed framing around it. We've got some gold, we've also got spine work with the vintage key and lock kind of symbols. And then on the back, it's just that regular faux leather texture. The special part about this one though is that it has deckled edges, so you can probably see the uneven texture along the side here. I don't know if that's gonna bother me, but I thought that the design on the front was really pretty. This one also has a full cover design with the cobwebs in the corner and the moon on the front, all of that done in silver foiling, and of course, silver gilding along the edges of the notebook. And then in terms of other black faux leather Archer and Olive notebooks, we have the little skull and books, the cute little bats, the dragon with some stars, a rainbow, and a wand. And all of those have gilding, sometimes silver, sometimes holographic. I also have black linen covers from Archer and Olive, so this one is the Libra design. This one is the crescent in gold, but on Neapolitan paper, so black, white, and craft. And then I have the same design just in craft paper, and again just in blackout paper, or a black paper notebook, but with gold gilding. You can really start to tell that I'm a sucker for stars and sparkles, because this is a glitter notebook. I still consider it to be black because it's got black kind of linen with the glitter built into it. And then this one, I guess you could consider it to be either a dark blue or maybe a dark grey, but it has blue glitter throughout the notebook and then the little cobweb on the front. I do also have black A5 notebooks from other companies though. So we have the Witch's Hat design from Sassy Pigeon HQ, the Scorpio design from Typhosi, and I just thought this was so cute. Like, I'm a Libra, I don't need a Scorpio notebook, but look at him. And then also the notebook from the official bullet journal brand. In fact, I actually have two black ones from the official bullet journal company because this one was part of their stealth collection, so it has black gilded edges. The paper is still the same, but the edging is black. I also have another one of those notebooks from the washi tape shop that looks like it's in a folio, but it's actually just the cover. This one I have technically used, so it should have been in the used notebook section, so I think that brings our used total up to 50. I also have some A5s that aren't part of the rainbow because they're white though. The first of these is again technically an undated planner, but it's the same design as the Galaxy Drip, just in white, and it might be hard to see, but that foiling is holographic. And of course, gilded edges. We have a white linen cover with a floral design on it, two of the pearlescent kind of teacup design. Might be a little bit hard to see the shimmer in the actual cover itself, but I promise you, it is very pretty. And then we have my white faux leather ones, and I don't know if it's just my luck, but every time I get a white faux leather, it always comes with some kind of blemish. This one has a little stain at the top, whereas the primary stain on this one is down the bottom. In terms of the designs though, this one is the ampersand, and this one is the little holographic fairy. While A5 is very much my favorite and it makes up the majority of my collection, I do also have other sizes, so my second favorite size would have to be square notebooks. This is 8 inches by 8 inches. Pretty much all of them, if not all of them, are from Archer and Olive, but let's have a look at those ones. The stack of these is definitely smaller. In terms of numbers, I only have 7 of these in stock, but we have this very pretty muted pink with the moon and the botanicals, the storybook design, but now in square, a notebook that's called Keeper of the Bees. This one is another full cover design with the gold foiling, and I love this notebook so much. We also have the spine decoration, again with the gold foiling, and then on the back we don't have the gold, but we do have the debossing. This one here has a rose gold foiling for the stamp, and it's a little coffee with a book stack and some glasses. We have the return of the narwhal, this time in square, and also the same design as my current everyday notebook. I love the holographic foiling on this, it's really pretty too. This one is a sketchbook, so it has blank notebook pages, but it was a collaboration between Archer and Olive and Piper's Art. So we have a sketched cover which wraps around to the back to have a little house on a kind of island in a lake with some kind of like dreamy sky, little stars and sparkles. Very cute. And of course, holographic gilding on the edges. You'd think that given it's my second favorite size, I'd have more than just 7 of these. I might have to remedy that. If A5 and square are my top 2 sizes, then my third favorite would have to be B6. This one is just smaller, it's quite compact, it's really good for travel journals without being a traveler's journal. So let's have a look at my B6 notebooks. Again, we have a smaller collection of these compared to my A5s, so everything's gonna be smaller than my A5 collection. The majority of these again are from Archer and Olive, but we have a couple that are from the washi tape shop. In terms of the Archer and Olive ones, these each have 112 dot grid pages, but we have the return of the crescent design. We have a little hedgehog on a purple faux leather, a super cute little snail on a peachy tone notebook, a little beetle car with some botanicals that it's carrying at the top, one that's just a plain vintage blue-green colour, essentially the same colour as the notebook that I'm using for my health journal, and then that old classic botanical design on a green linen. This one's also a linen design, but with cute little stitched daisies on it. I've also got a plain blue linen notebook, and then 2 B6 spiral-bound notebooks, both with the same design. One of them I got in a sub box, the other one I got in a mystery box. And then we have the designs from the washi tape shop. This one being a kind of pastel blue clouds with a little bit of holographic foiling. Might be a little hard to see. It is there though on the edge of some of the clouds. And then a moon phases design which again has holographic foiling, which you can probably see that rainbow shine to it. Very pretty. While the Archer and Olive notebooks have white dot grid paper, these two have ivory dot grid paper. Now we're into the sizes that I don't often use quite as much, but I do like to have some of them in my collection just so that I can have them there for either reference or using it for an ideas video, anything like that. So the size we're going to look at next is my B5 notebooks. All but one of my B5 notebooks are from Archer and Olive, so I figured we'd start with this one. So this is the Kokuyo Campus Soft Ring Notebook, same as the A5 size I have, just a little bit bigger. We have the return of the faux leather snail, looking very cute. And then we have the linen cover in a pale pink with this lady with a scarf. I mean, as far as the designs go, it's not really my personal preference. I got this one as part of a mystery box though, so it was cheap, and that's why I have it. This one was part of the same collection. It was a summer release, like a vintage summer holiday type thing. So this is the A&O Motel. You can hopefully see there, it says A&O Motel on the little sign on the roof. And then this is a faux leather notebook, which was a collaboration between Plant-Based Bride and Archer and Olive. Now, in terms of the faux leathers that Archer and Olive has released, this is one of the first ones they did. I don't like this style of faux leather particularly much, mainly because it has a tendency to be able to be injured. I don't know if you can see it, but there's kind of like chunk missing here because it got hit against something while I was moving it one day. A little bit unfortunate. We have 2 white faux leather ampersand notebooks, each with their own individual stain, because that seems to be my luck. You can probably see this one here faintly, and this one here might be a little harder to see. They're a little bit more noticeable in person. I mean, it doesn't bother me enough to get rid of the notebooks, but it's a little bit of a bummer. This one here though is on a very beautiful green velvet cover. Also from Archer and Olive. I have no idea what I'm going to use this for because I know it's going to get dirty. This one also doesn't have the elastic closure, it has a ribbon closure, and in terms of the paper it is ivory rather than white. It looks a lot darker on camera than it is in person. I think maybe this will give a slight better appreciation of the colour, but it is very pretty and I like the gold and green together. This one I'm calling a B5 because it's closest to that size, but technically it's a little bit wider than the other B5s we've looked at. Same vertical height, just horizontally a little bit more. Technically speaking, I have actually used part of this notebook. It's got blackout paper, and I did some work for Archer and Olive in here. So setting up some goal related pages, and then also some pages related to how you can signify time away from your journal. So I guess technically probably should have included this in the used section. And I just found this B5 on my shelf. I need to stop storing them in their boxes because then I forget that I own them, but this is a B5 in that composition notebook style that we saw for the A5. A lot of fun. I figured we'd just stepwise decrease in size, so after B5, the next ones we're going to have a look at are Travelers. These ones are as tall as an A5, mostly, but definitely narrower. Here's what I mean by only some of them are the height of an A5, but the 3 here are from Sunshine Sticker Co. The 5 on this side are from Archer and Olive, and then this one was given to me at Go Wild. This one is more akin to a true traveler's notebook, so the kind where you can use different inserts and slip them into elastic bands. I haven't used it yet, I think it's very cute, so I'm keeping that in my stash. As for the Sunshine Sticker Co. ones, these are all just a basic block color, so we have an orange, a pink, and a green. And then for the Archer and Olive ones, we have a purple starburst, a blue starburst, the teal colored conservatory design, the green squirrel, and the red lighthouse design that we saw before on an A5. On to the smallest journal sizes that I have, and that would be the pocket or the A6 size notebook. This is effectively like taking an A5 notebook and cutting it in half horizontally, but often you don't use it in that orientation, you rotate it. You'll see what I mean. The first set are marketed as pocket notebooks, but I consider them more to be A6, considering they're like half of an A5 notebook. And opening this one up, you can see we actually have 3 notebooks here, each with the little foil lightning bolt on the front, which is pretty cute. Typically, I would consider using a notebook in this orientation, so opening it like it's a regular book. But if we have a look at the printing on this book, you can see it's actually in this orientation. So you're supposed to use this notebook like this, which I think is interesting, not really my preference. But we have 3 of these in black, and then another 3 of them, but in yellow. This is the new edition of the pocket notebooks, which matches the yellow of the A5 we looked at before. I also have an A6 or pocket size from the washi tape shop. This one has some very pretty pastel waves with a little bit of foiling on the front, holographic foiling on the edges, and again has ivory paper. And then we're into the ones from Archer and Olive. So starting with this brown design notebook, we then have the purple starburst one, the A&O Motel design on that faux leather, a little sun hat and gardening gloves. This would be the cutest gardening journal. This one is a craft paper notebook with a kind of like denim finish, which I think looks pretty cool. And then we've also got a little blackout A6 notebook. Each of these notebooks only has 112 dot grid pages. They're kind of small, like the B6. We do also have some chonky A6 notebooks, or pocket size, from Archer and Olive. These ones came in the September subscription box from 2023. So flipping those over, they're made to look like little books, which I think is so cute. The design on the red one is absolutely gorgeous, but the paper in this one's lined, which is a little bit unfortunate, at least as far as I'm concerned. And then in terms of the green, this one's done with embossing, and that one does have dot grid paper. Very cute on the spine, very cute on the cover and on the back. I love these, they're so cute. This A6 notebook is a recent addition to my collection. It's from Typhosi and it has a full cover design. We have gilding on the edges, a little pen loop, and then just a little leaf design on the back. The paper in this one is white, not ivory, and we've got some little bookmarks too. And then we have my other notebooks. These are either the ones that are very large, so they didn't fit into the other categories we've looked at, or they're ones that I forgot to put in the other categories. Working from smallest to largest though, we have a little ideas book, which just has lined paper. A little notebook from Odyssey Notebooks that I haven't opened yet, so I don't actually know what type of paper it has. A little notebook that was gifted to me for Christmas. My list book, which is effectively like the very messy version of my bullet journal. Like, it's not decorative, it's just scribbles. A lecture book that was going to be the replacement for my list book when it ran out, but it never did. Another scribble type book that I can probably get rid of, but I do like what it says on the front. And then taking a step out so we can actually see these two, this one is a letter size from Archer and Olive. This is the dot grid notebook that they had in their second subscription box. And then this is an A4 Dingbats. This one's also dot grid, but the paper is ivory rather than white. So with 2 of those big notebooks and then 6 additional ones, collections. That brings our total notebooks to 214, but I do technically have 4 more at least on the way. So if I use maybe 6 notebooks a year, then this is only gonna last me another 27 years. I should probably go get some more, right? Now I need to go and put all of these notebooks back in their homes, whether that be on my shelf or in my closet. But if you are looking for different ways to use the notebooks in your collections, then this video on screen is the next one to check out. In that one, we're looking at 100 different uses that you can have for your blank notebooks. So click or tap on that one and I'll see you over there.